So math was negative. So I'm going to have a big number line here. Okay, and we're just going to use the numbers 0 to 10 for simplicity. I think your assignment goes up to 20 though, but the principles are the same.
No, it goes up to 10.
12.
I think on the addition and subtraction side, it goes up to 20.
No, it goes only up to 10, and the other side doesn't have one.
All right. Okay. So we're gonna do like a whole like 2 weeks worth of lessons in one day because we're just reviewing. But I think you guys need this review, okay? Because I've been grading stuff and you guys are like really sketchy on the negatives. So what does a negative number mean? If I have teeny Mrs. Barlow and she's standing here on this number line and you tell her to go negative, give me a number.
70.
6.
Okay, so my number line only goes up to 10.
6.
Negative 6. So teeny Mrs. Barlow is gonna go negative 6. Which direction is she gonna go?
Left.
Left. She's gonna go left 6. And she's gonna end up at negative 6, okay? So she's sitting there at negative 6. Now we're gonna tell her to go 2 more negative. So I have a negative 6 minus 2. We're going 2 more negative. Which direction is she gonna go?
Left.
How many steps is she gonna take? 2. And where is she gonna end up?
8.
Negative 8.
At negative 8. So I started negative, I got more negative, and I ended up at negative 8, okay? Now, what if she's at negative 2 or negative 6, and I tell her to go positive 2? Which direction is she gonna go?
Right.
Right. And where's she gonna end up?
Positive
Negative 4.
She's just going 2 to the right, just 2. And she's gonna end up at what kind of 4, Braddock?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. Okay, so we're gonna go over that rule in a second, okay? All right, well let's say she's starting out at positive 6. Okay? So she's at positive 6, and let's do the same numbers. And she goes negative 2. She goes 2 in the negative direction. So that's going to be which direction, left or right?
Left.
Left. So she's going to go 2 down, and where does she end up?
4.
At positive 4. Okay? So positive 6 and minus 2 is a positive 4. And then if she starts out at positive 6 and she goes 2 in the positive direction, where does she end up?
8.
8. So this is the rule. I want you guys to notice this rule. Okay, so we have basically 2 totals here. We have 4 and we have 8. This is the rule that Dave was talking about, okay? What are the signs on these? This one's a negative and this one's what?
Positive. Negative.
A negative. They're both negative. So what did I actually do with the numbers? No.
Just
I added the absolute values, didn't I? What's 6 plus 2?
8.
8. And since they're both negative, we took that sign along with it. Okay? Okay. Are the signs here the same or different?
Different.
So what did I do with the absolute values?
You took them away.
I subtracted them. 6 minus 2 is 4. Now which one of these numbers is bigger?
Negative.
The 6. 6 has a bigger absolute, but technically 2 is bigger than negative 6, but 6 has a bigger absolute value. So we go with this negative sign, and the negative sign wins. That's why I did. What were you saying? The stronger?
The stronger the negative or the positive is the one you take.
Yeah, whichever one's stronger is the one that wins. If I say if it has a bigger absolute value, 6 has a bigger absolute value than 2, so it wins, and we keep its sign here. Same thing. The signs are different, so I subtract the absolute values. Which one has a bigger 6 still has a bigger absolute value. Now it has a plus sign in front of it, and there. And here, I mean, we're just adding, right? Okay. So that stuff that is that. But what if I subtract a negative?
Then it becomes a positive.
Then it becomes, okay, let me show you how this works. Let me show you why subtracting a negative works, okay? Let's say I'm gonna have a bunch of dots, and the pink dots are positive. And the black dots are gonna be, nope, the blue dots are gonna be negatives, okay? Okay.
Wait, like protons and neutrons.
They're just like protons and neutrons, yes. So if I could have this be protons and neutrons and have it be charged, okay? These are positives and negatives. So if I have a positive and negative, they cancel each other out and that's 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this positive and negative cancel each other out and that's 0. And this positive and negative cancel each other out and that's 0. And what am I left with? What's my left? Positive 2 or negative 2?
Negative. Because the charge is negative.
Remember my pinks were positive and the blues are negative, okay? So I'm left with a charge here, or with a total of positive 2. Now let's say I take away 2 negatives. So I'm taking away a negative 2. So I'm just going to erase. But I'm not. I'm taking away the negatives. Mathematically, it's going to be the same as adding it, but that's not what's actually happening. I took away 2 negatives. So now, there aren't as many to cancel out my positives. This still cancels out to be 0, but then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Mathematically, it's the same as adding them. 2 plus 2 is 4. But what's really happening is I really did take away a negative. There are fewer negatives there. Okay? Well, so now I'm sitting there with 4. What if I try to take away a negative? Give me a number.
5.
Negative 5. So I'm trying to take away. Do I have 5 negatives there to take away?
No.
I only have 1. So what do I do?
You add 4.
Can I create negatives?
Yeah.
Can I add 0 to this? Can I add 0 to this all day long?
Yeah.
Every time I add a positive and a negative, look, I just added 0. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Did I change this from 4? It's still 4, right? Can I do this here? Yeah, I added 0. There, I added 0 again. Is it still 4? And I'm going to keep adding 0 until I end up with 5 negatives. Every time I do that, I add 0. And I can add 0 all day long. I could stand here and add 0. I could add 1,000 zeros. I don't want to. But I could if I wanted to, which I don't.
Where are those extra dots coming from?
Just
You
drawing
have
them.
a marker in your hand.
Yeah,
Right,
I
I
kind
had-
of thought they're just appearing by themselves.
Yeah,
I had two.
I thought, like, whoa, Mrs. Barlow is a magical being.
I'm a magic. I'm going to add an extra one. Yeah, I just have 2 markers because I'm lazy, right? So I'm just drawing 2 of them at the same time. But every time I do that, I'm adding 0, and I can add 0 all day long. Is this still 4?
Yeah.
It's still 4 because I added 0 a million times. It's still 4. Now can I take away those negative 5s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that as a
1
code.
negative 5 gone, 2 negative 5s gone, 3 negative 5s gone, 4 negative 5s gone, 5 negative 5s gone. Still have 1 sitting there, chilling, doing its thing, whatever. This adds to 0, so we don't pay attention to it. Then how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 minus a negative 5 is 9. Mathematically, what happened though? We added. Like Braddock's been saying, you're just adding. You're just adding. We're not just adding, but mathematically, it's going up, right? I had to add in those zeros. Then when I took away the negatives, those 1s were still sitting there, okay? Let me show you what happens in my head. We'll have a minus and a minus, right? And I kind of envision these floating up and becoming a plus. Whenever you have 2 minuses, it becomes a plus. It's like when I say, I don't have no crackers.
That's
Do I have
double negative.
crackers?
Yeah.
Actually, I do. I don't have no crackers. I have crackers. They're sitting in my cupboard, right? I don't, I don't not like him. How do I feel about him?
You like them?
I like him,
I paper cut my knuckles.
right? So I'm not gonna miss the meeting tonight. What am I gonna do?
Attendance.
I'm gonna go, right?
It's a double negative.
Because it's a double negative, right? So anytime I have a double negative, it becomes a positive. Now, what if I start with a negative? This is the one where people's brains start melting. What if I had negative 10 minus a negative
6.
6?
Wouldn't that be adding?
It would be adding 6, so I had to have negative 10 plus 6. Well, what's negative 10 plus 6? We've got teeny Mrs. Barlow down here on negative 10. Which direction is she going to go?
Right.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And she's going to end up at negative 4. Okay? So,
But where's teeny little Mr. Barlow?
teeny little Mr. Barlow is at work.
Hmm.
Teeny little Mrs. Barlow works here. Teeny little Mr. Barlow works in Idaho Falls with Big Mr. Barlow. I don't know why Big Mr. Barlow needs a friend, but here we are.
Maybe he needs a math buddy.
It's like Maui. You know, he's got his little tattoo friend. She's just on the board. She's not my little like Maui. You know what I'm saying? She's my friend. All right. I have number lines. I don't want you guys using calculators on this assignment. You can use calculators for the multiplication and the division, but I don't want you to use them on the addition and subtraction. You can use a number line if you need to use a number line, okay? We need to be able to do this. We need to be able to do it efficiently. I allow you to use calculators, but they're cumbersome and they're difficult, and you guys aren't using them, and so you guys are getting things wrong. And this next unit is going to be fraught with negatives all over the place.
Because
And you're
the
gonna
numbers
need
are
to be-
huge.
You guys are we're gonna need to be good at this, so we need to practice. Let's flip over though. I'm gonna erase this. We're gonna just do a quick review on multiplying and dividing negatives. Okay. So if I have, remember negative, my blue is negative 3. If I have negative 3, right? And I have negative 3 4 times. I am putting negative 3 on the board 4 times. How many negatives do I have?
Magnesium?
What?
Magnesium.
No, please don't. Just like what the heck?
12.
So what do I have? Do I have 12 or do I have negative 12?
Negative 12.
Negative 12 because these are negatives. So this is negative 12. Okay?
Negative.
Now, here's a question. So let's say I start with, let's say I have, right there I have 0, right? Because I have 12 positives and I have 12 negatives. What if I take away negative 3? So I have negative 3, and I'm taking it away 4 times. Do you guys see that?
Whoa.
Negative 3, and I'm taking it away 4 times. So I'm going to take some away. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. What am I left with? I have 12, right? We went from 0. We took away a negative 3. We took it away 4 times, and that equals positive 12. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Positive 2.
when I have a negative times a negative, what do I end up with?
A positive.
A positive 12. And that's why, because I'm taking away a negative. Positive 12. So if I have negative 3 and I put negative 3 there 4 times, what do I end up with? What's negative 3 times 4?
Oh, that's
Negative 12.
Negative 12. I have 1 positive or 1 negative and 1 positive. What if I have positive 3 and I put it down negative 4 times? What do I end up with? Negative 12. What if I have positive 3 and I put it down there positive 4 times?
12.
Positive 12.
positive.
I mean, that one shouldn't be hard. And then what if I have -3 and I put it down -4 times? Or
It's
it's
positive 12.
positive 12.
0.0.
What I kind of think of, not 12.0 because these aren't 3.0. So if you want to toss in some significant figures, these would need to be 3.0 and 4.0 and they're not. So it's just 12. So I kind of think of this negative sign as a light switch. Every problem starts with the light switch on, okay? On is positive, off is negative, okay? So we're starting with the light switch. Oh, and then we start with it on and we hit a light switch. So what does it get turned? Off, right? It gets turned to negative. We have the negative switch. Does this turn it? Does this have a switch? No, so it stays negative, okay? So we start with it positive. Does this have a positive switch or negative switch? Doesn't have a negative switch. It's just 3. So we're still at positive 3. Does this have a negative switch?
Yeah.
Switched it to be negative, so now it's negative. Start positive. Does this have a negative switch?
No.
No. Does this have a negative switch?
No.
No, so it stays positive. Starts positive. Does this have a negative switch?
Yes.
Yes. Does this have a negative switch?
Yes.
So it switched it back to being positive. Switch negative, switch positive, is positive. Okay? So if I have -3 times -4 times -5 times -2 times -1 times -3 times -4, I'm not going to do the math, but is it going to be positive or negative? So
Negative.
we started
Oh,
positive,
last number.
switch it to negative, switch it to positive, switch it to negative, switch it to positive, switch it to negative, switch it to positive, switch it to negative. It's going to end up being negative, something big. I don't know. I don't feel like mathing that out, but it's going to be negative, right? Okay. Remember when we were doing negative x to the 27th power? Was it going to be positive or negative? Guys, it's an odd exponent, so we have an odd number of switches, right? It's going to end up positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. We don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be negative, whatever it is, right?
The answer to that one would be 1,440.
Okay, thank you. Okay. But it's negative. That's what I really care about, okay? So if you have a positive, now what if we're dividing? What's the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
Division. So Rupert, what were you going to tell us about dividing?
What?
You raised your hand. I said, what about dividing? And then you raised your hand. Okay, you did, but that's fine. If you don't have something, it's good. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So if I have -12 divided by -3, -3 times 4 is -12. What's -12 divided by -3?
4.
4. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, because -3 times +4 is 12. Negative divided by negative is positive. So here I have -12 divided by +3. And what's that going to equal?
Negative.
-4. I have a negative divided by a positive equals a negative. Here I have a positive divided by a positive. What's that going to be? I'll draw a stick on this one. I think you guys are falling asleep out there. +12 divided by +3. Sylvie's not here. 4. Ronald, +4 divided. +12 divided by +3 is going to be what flavor of 4? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Are you positive?
Quite very.
Good. Okay.
You have a very positive timing.
+12 divided by -3. So I have a positive divided by a negative.
It's
We
gonna
know
be
it's going to be 4. What flavor is it going to be? Positive or negative, AJ?
Wait, what?
+12, -3. Positive or -4? Negative, because positive divided by negative is negative. I think for my students, I feel like adding and subtracting negatives is harder than multiplying and dividing negatives. Do you guys agree?
No.
I feel like for you guys, it's harder to
Pretty
remember the
equal.
rules. I think it's less intuitive. So we're gonna take a day and we're gonna practice because we can't do math with we can't do what we're doing without positives and negatives. And then tomorrow we'll jump back into what we were doing. Okay? I'm good? And I need to